Welcome to Orn Oth's Bedtime Stories. Tonight's story, Orn Oth Stays Up Late, written by Orn Oth the Dragon and read by Orn Oth the Dragon. As the evening sky turned to gold, Orn Oth was saying goodbye to his fox friend, who he had worked all afternoon with on a farm. They had finished their chores, and now she needed to get ready for bed. Orn Oth also needed to get home. Even a dragon cannot fly at night without bumping into things. But there was a problem. Orn Oth wasn't tired and didn't want to go home and go to bed just yet. Instead, Orn Oth decided to eat some candy that he had tucked away in the pouch on his tummy. This made him even more energetic, though, and Orn Oth decided to go swimming in a pond on the way home. So Orn Oth waddled over to the nearest pond and jumped in. Orn Oth splashed and played in the water, not paying attention at all to the time. But all too soon the sun went down, and as Orn Oth realized that it was now dark, something in the water caught his eye. There was a soft glow of light emanating from the bottom of the pond. Orn Oth was intrigued and decided to investigate. So he took a deep breath and dived down, using his tail to help propel him down into the depths of the pond. Orn Oth was not the only one to notice the glow, however, and as Orn Oth sank lower and lower into the water, a great big catfish saw him and started to sneak up on him. The first sign to Orn Oth that something was amiss was when the fishes around him that were nibbling on plants suddenly swam away as fast as they could. That is when Orn Oth stopped to look around. The catfish dashed out of the darkness and lunged at the little dragon, its large mouth open wide. Thinking quickly, Orn Oth blew a large bubble of ice in front of him. The catfish ended up with a belly full of ice and quickly left, not wanting any more of the little dragon's tricks. Orn Oth giggled to himself and returned his attention to the soft glow beneath him. There on the bottom of the pond was a small toy fish that was glowing in the dark. Orn Oth picked it up and swam up to the surface. He then swam to the edge of the pond, climbed out, and shook off the water. Looking over his prize, Orn Oth decided to name his new toy Finnegan. He put Finnegan in the pouch on his tummy and looked around. The sun had set, and now the moon was rising to give a soft glow. Now that everything was covered in shadows, Orn Oth was not sure which way was which, but before he could look for a familiar landmark, he saw something winking at him from the grass. Orn Oth stopped and stared at the single winking light, becoming 2, then 3, then a dozen. Suddenly Orn Oth realized that the winking lights were fireflies. Orn Oth squeaked with joy and started to chase the fireflies as they winked and twinkled around him. Orn Oth played with the fireflies until he was deep in the forest and the light from the moon stopped shining through the trees. Here it was dark, and Orn Oth realized that he was lost. Orn Oth tried waddling in one direction for a while, and then tried another, and then another, but no matter which way he went, everything looked the same in the dark. Then Orn Oth remembered Finnegan and pulled out the little fish toy out of the pouch on his tummy. The soft glow helped Orn Oth to see a little bit, but it was still mostly shadows. Little by little, Orn Oth moved forward, looking for where he had come from, or something that could point him back home. That is when he heard a loud hoot. The sound scared Orn Oth for a minute, and he looked around frantically. The sound came again, but even though he was looking around, he had no idea where that strange hooting was coming from, until something dropped silently in front of him. That is when Orn Oth held up Finnegan and saw that there was an owl right in front of him. The owl wanted to eat Finnegan, but Orn Oth explained that Finnegan was a toy and would not be very good to eat. However, Orn Oth did not want the owl to be hungry, so he gave the owl the food that he was carrying in the pouch on his tummy. The owl appreciated this, and as a ninja of the forest, the owl knew where everything was, even in the dark. So the owl informed Orn Oth that he was going the wrong way and pointed him in the right direction. So Orn Oth waddled on through the forest. It was now very late, and Orn Oth was starting to get tired, but the air was filled with high-pitched squeaks. Orn Oth stopped and listened for a while. The bats were using echolocation. By squeaking and then listening for the sound to return, they were able to figure out where everything is, and in a way could see in the dark. Orn Oth had some bat friends that had been teaching him, but he was not very good at it yet. So he waddled on, letting Finnegan lead the way. Unfortunately, Finnegan's light was starting to fade. Finnegan needed to get some sunlight to recharge so he could keep glowing. Before he knew it, Finnegan had stopped glowing, and as Orn Oth put Finnegan back in the pouch on his tummy, Orn Oth wondered how he was going to finish getting home. Orn Oth sat down and tapped his tail while he thought. He had gotten lost before and was taught that sometimes just waiting where you are is the best solution. But that also meant waiting until the sun came back up. Orn Oth sighed and decided to wait. That is when the moon came out from behind a cloud and cast its light on the night. Now Orn Oth could see that he was almost home as the moonlight shined off the snow of the top of the mountain. Orn Oth cheered and scurried up the mountain to his cave. Once home, Orn Oth took Finnegan out and set him next to the small pile of coins that he used for his bed, and curled up to sleep. That was a fun adventure, but from now on I go to bed on time, Orn Oth said as he fell asleep. The end.